All right, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to talk about Deontay Wilder being massively underrated according to Malik Scott and John Fury, that he has great defense and the best chin at heavyweight. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So before I get into the subject matter of this video, if you have not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Also hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. Hit the like, hit the share. It really does help grow the channel, and it is greatly appreciated. So in this video, we're going to talk about Deontay Wilder and some things that John Fury had to say and Malik Scott had to say about Deontay Wilder. And it really does counter the narrative that is really going out around about Deontay Wilder, which I think is an absolute shame, which is that Deontay Wilder can't fight. John Fury, when he was talking about Deontay Wilder and the fact that Tyson Fury may be pulling out of the fight, basically said, look, that Deontay Wilder is, he may be a dosser. I think they called him out, a bad person outside the ring. He can't stand him outside the ring, but inside the ring, Deontay Wilder can really fight. He said that he thought Deontay Wilder was the best. It was between him and Anthony Joshua about, for who was the best heavyweight. And that pretty much coincides with exactly what Malik Scott, the new trainer of Deontay Wilder, had to say about him. And I think it's important to go over this because this fight is coming up and there's a lot of people that are just pretty much assuming that Deontay Wilder is going to get ran through by Tyson Fury, even without the acknowledgement of the fact that Deontay Wilder was cheated and he's cheated in the first and the second fight. But the reason why a lot of this goes on like this is because of the media coverage of Deontay Wilder, especially during the time when Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder were in negotiations for not in negotiations, but the big talk in boxing was Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury going to fight? And Anthony Joshua, and Deontay Wilder are going to fight. And at that point in time, Eddie Hearn really went on this campaign to really tear down Deontay Wilder and, basically talk about he's, windmill Wilder, a bunch of other stuff that, came in and really was an attack on Deontay Wilder's personality, on his willingness to fight. And I think that a lot of that has caused damage in the perception of people, and that just because they've heard that so much that they really do miss the obvious. So what Malik Scott said is that Deontay Wilder has great defense and he has the best chin at heavyweight. And I think that there's definitely room to consider that because of the shots that he took in fights that you saw Deontay Wilder when he stepped up and he fought Luis Ortiz. Luis Ortiz is one of the, if not the second heaviest hitter in heavyweight division. He's close to the very top. I don't know if very many people at all in boxing that have is the one-shot power that Luis Ortiz has. Luis Ortiz was pretty much a southpaw knockout machine, and he clipped Deontay Wilder firmly on his chin. Deontay Wilder backpedaled out of it, recovered from it, and pretty much came back and knocked out Luis Ortiz. And that was a perfect example of not just his ability to take a shot, but of ability of his defense as well. And another aspect of it, or another time that we got to see that, was actually during the second fight for Deontay Wilder, when Deontay Wilder got hit and hurt by Tyson Fury, but still was able to make it to the seventh round when it looked like every round he was out of it. Now it comes to be that Deontay Wilder says the reason that he was out of it was because of his water being poisoned by spiked. I don't think you say poison. I think you say spiked in that situation, of his water being spiked, and that being the reason why his legs were unsteady. However, just as it may, he was getting hit, continually getting hit, and did not go down. So that tells you that Deontay Wilder absolutely, positively has an excellent chin. And you've been as Malik Scott has pointed out, you very rarely see Deontay Wilder get hit by clean shots. Now, he may be somebody that it looks like he's, setting up the right hand or spending a lot of time preoccupied with trying to set the guy up for a right hand, but that manifests itself in him not being, overly active. However, while he's not being overly active, he's still not getting hit by shots, which shows you that he really has great defense. Now, the most important thing, and the thing that people really do overlook when it comes to Deontay Wilder, is really his accomplishments, and the fact that, certain things that you do in boxing speak for themselves. You can't, like, Vladimir Klitschko was a champion for I don't know how many years, like one stretch of it basically, it seemed like for 15 years that Vladimir Klitschko was at the top of the heavyweights, and did he hold three belts? I think he held three belts along with the one that his brother held. And, you just have to say, look, over a period of time, you can say what you want to say about Vladimir Klitschko, but he was absolutely, dominant over that period of time. And you got to give him his credit. Same thing with Deontay Wilder. You can't hold a heavyweight championship belt for 5 years and have 10 title defenses without having good defense, without being an exceptional fighter. But again, that was pretty much taken from him with the way that the media was kind of fell in behind Eddie Hearn and that push from the UK boxing, the AJ boxing fans to make excuses for Deontay Wilder not getting the fight with Anthony Joshua. Now, that's not to say that Deontay Wilder is without fault or there's no room for improvement. I think in the preparation of this fight for Tyson Fury, that you're going to see, a marked improvement, a much more busy fighter for Deontay Wilder, one that's willing to go to the body and not just rely upon catching somebody with the right hand, but really putting in the work to get rounds. And that it would be the improvement that I would see coming from him. But hopefully we'll get to see him fight Tyson Fury, and we'll get to see the skills on display without Tyson Fury resorting to cheating, and actually with Tyson Fury taking the fight at all, because it looks kind of like with the situation with his daughter that he may not take the fight. So anyway, that's my take on the scenario. Deontay Wilder is an extremely underrated fighter, just like John Fury said. John Fury said, hey, man, this guy's a dosser, but this dude's a dosser that can fight, and put him right there, right next to Anthony Joshua, for second best heavyweight in the world. And that's behind. And now, of course, he's going to rank his son as the top heavyweight, but that still is a massive amount of respect for Deontay Wilder. Now, that's my take on the scenario. You let me know what you think in the comments section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.